I'm Chimama Mangazi with Business Time on Times. It is a magazine program where we bring you business and economic news stories making headlines. In the program today, International Monetary Fund IMF says negotiations with the government on a new extended credit facility program will be conducted within the 2021-2022 financial year. Also in the program, Malawi signs a $150 million deal with South Sudan. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned.
I've got that feeling, that linger feeling. 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 Bwembwe.
Made from fresh local fruits of mulberry, jambula, rosella, strawberry, plum, white guava and white peach, and naturally fermented for 1 or 2 years in our cool cellar, comes Malawi's own Linga. Here's to a smooth taste, unsurpassed quality, and distinctive fruit wines. When in Malawi, it has to be Linga.
Hello and welcome. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says negotiations with the government on a new extended credit facility program will be conducted within the 2021-2022 financial year. The negotiations were expected to be conducted in April this year. IMF country manager Farai Gwenamo says there were issues the fund was looking into before going into discussions. More in this report.
This follows a decision by the Tonse government to cancel the program last year on account of changes in policy by the new administration. Previously, both the fund and the government indicated that discussions on a new ECF will be conducted in April this year in order to align the program to the 2021-2022 national budget. However, according to Gwenamo, the fund has only been engaging in pre-mission talks with Treasury officials. She says there were a lot of issues that they needed to see and understand before going into the discussions. Gwenamo added that the discussions being conducted currently are not meant to inform the process of the ECF negotiations. In a recent interview, Finance Minister Felix Mlusu said discussions on the program are at an advanced stage.
Our discussions with the IMF are at a very advanced stage. We terminated the ECF, which we found in government, because it was going off track. And we therefore wanted to negotiate a fresh one with conditions that are acceptable to us, and we fully understand and we all agree that those conditions are going to benefit the country.
The ECF provides financial assistance to countries with protracted balance of payments problems. Recently, economic commentators tipped government to lobby for investment and development assistance from the IMF when it negotiates a new ECF. Last year, the IMF dispersed about $192 million for emergency COVID-19 support, out of which $91 million was dispersed in May 2020 and $101 million in early October 2020. The first disbursement was entirely balance of payment support, and the second disbursement was 70% BOP support and 30% budget support.
The lead irrigation and drainage specialist at the World Bank, Yuko Stadjedik, is impressed with progress made in the Shire Valley Transformation Project. World Bank is one of the key financiers of the project, which intends to increase agricultural productivity in the Shire Valley. Eric Msigiti reports.
Regarded as one of the biggest agricultural projects in the Zodiak region, the Shire Valley Transformation Project will also improve the sustainable management and utilization of natural resources for over 223,000 households in Chikwawa and in Sanje districts. Start Zodiak, who together with Minister of Agriculture Robin Lowe toured part of the works under the project in Chikwawa, said he was impressed with the progress made thus far.
So we are very pleased with the progress. As you know, COVID has disrupted many projects and many activities in many countries. There is some delay here, but considering the circumstances, we are very pleased with the progress. This contract is ongoing. The second contract will start very soon, which will take the main canal all the way to Langwe. So we're very pleased with what we're seeing here.
Before touring the project itself, Lowe toured and held talks with officials at Pata Cooperative and Ilovo Sugar Company. He said he was particularly happy to note that beneficiary farmers and cooperatives are fully prepared and ready to utilize the infrastructure once the project is completed.
I just wanted to do three things. The first thing is to appreciate the update and progress so far made in terms of intake construction and the first 6 kilometers of the main canal. I can assure you I'm very impressed. There is good progress and this is very encouraging. The second issue is to appreciate what the beneficiaries are doing in terms of their level of preparedness for the project. And I visited 2 potential beneficiaries, that is Irovo and the Pata Cooperative. I'm also impressed to learn from Pata that they are very prepared for this project. But we still have to negotiate with Irovo, because what I've learned from Irovo is they have already done heavy investment in terms of drip irrigation and tapping water from the other end of Shire River. So tapping from this main canal to them, it will be very expensive. But I'm happy to report that after some calculations, it seems in the 10th year, they should be able to break even and make a lot of profit. So it's a matter of perseverance. So we'll do more engagements to make sure that Ilovo, which by plan was supposed to get 25% of the water resources, should participate fully. The other thing is I just wanted to learn level of preparedness in terms of transformation for the list of farmers. And I'm still engaging with my ministry to make sure that this does not turn into another white elephant. We have projects in the country which are white elephants. And the aim is to make sure that at some point we should be able as a country to start utilizing the water resources. We shouldn't wait until the whole canal is completed. Say 10 kilometers. Farmers should now start utilizing the resources and we'll learn from that end. That's why I'm engaging all stakeholders relevant in this program to make sure that we are ready to start activities as soon as possible so that we can learn from the few fields who cultivate.
Already, the government has spent close to 1.4 billion kwacha in compensating the at least 1,259 households affected by the project. Acting Coordinator Stanley Chakumbira Kaira says close to 23,000 land parcels have also been adjudicated and demarcated in readiness for the project.
We're making a lot of progress. As you know, this project has gone through a lot of challenges, especially the COVID-19. Mobilization of staff, materials, equipment was very difficult, and that we are able to talk of 36% at the moment. It's a lot of progress, and we are happy with it. The minister is right, and fortunately he's talking the same language as ourselves, we are ready to make sure that farmers can start utilizing the water when the canal, in fact, our plan is that when we get out of Majete and you're moving towards the Lengwe, the first pieces of land that are on the way should actually be ready to receive water. So we are organizing farmers. And as you may know already, we have already adjudicated and demarcated 23,000 pieces of land, which is about 13,000 hectares of land of smallholder farmers. So this land is actually ready. We just need to organize the farmers, consolidate the land, organize them as business blocks, and they'll be ready to receive the water. So in terms of the time frame, the construction works for the intake as well as going down to Lengwe, we believe that by 2023, the first farmers up the stream of the canal will start benefiting from the canal.
The project covers 43,370 hectares of land and involves the construction of canals which will be used to tap water from the Shire River to parcels of land used for irrigation agriculture in the area.
Zinenenji. Nso mnalimo muno? Ya, ndimatsa kulya ruzina ndizina mwali. Kumande mwachopata. Sugar, apo tukona nkaka. Umatu masambati ndi mulibe uno. Alamwa kuti samwa aliyo masamba. Kaka soti ngati? Amwali. Komanso to ino mupasikira nyonse yango dzadza ndi made in Malawi yoka. Tamakani moyo tsogola pogula zinthu zakunja. Maganizo amene uri ndobwezera chitukuko cha dziko lino mbuyo. Kugula zinthu zopangidwa kwathu konkuno kumathandiza kukweza ntchito za makampani a dziko muno. Zomwezo zimapereka mwayi wa ntchito kwa anthu ambiri. Ogwira ntchito akachuluka dziko lathu limatolera tu misonkho yochuluka. Chumanso chimakwera. Mukagula katundu wakunja mumangolemeretsa mayiko akunjawo ife sitipindula kanthu. Kani tikuzani ipo ndendamvetsatu. Ndandikire pompa. Nene ndikagule zinthu zathu za chimalawi. Sindichedwa tikule zathu tikule dziko lathu. Ndidikire sindichedwa. Dziko lathu bai Malawi kondendi kunyadira za chimalawi. Tikamagula za kunja.
Malawi has signed a deal worth over $150 million, about 120 billion kwacha, with South Sudan to supply maize flour, sugar, rice and groundnuts to that country. In return, Malawi will be importing petroleum and bitumen from South Sudan. Minister of Trade Saulos Chilima says the Afrexim Bank will help with lines of credit, supporting banks or directly dealing with exporters as a guarantor to transactions. He explains.
Speaking in an interview after returning from South Sudan, Minister of Trade Saulos Chilima said the deal has a blessing of the Afrexim Bank, which will help with lines of credit, supporting banks or directly dealing with exporters as a guarantor to transactions. Chilima said South Sudan is a potential market for a lot of Malawian products such as soya, sugar, rice, cooking oil, tea, coffee, poultry products, and Irish potatoes, while Malawi could tap white petroleum products, bitumen, pharmaceutical products, and technology from the country. He said that together Malawi and South Sudan can combine their endowments and facilitate co-investments among their private sector enterprises that will produce trade in their two nations as well as make strides across the region.
We are back from South Sudan, where we've signed the MOU with the Republic of South Sudan. Essentially what it is we'll now be exporting our commodities, most especially maize flour, beans, rice, and quite a number of other commodities because they have a huge deficit on cereal. whereas here we have some surpluses, especially in maize and beans. So we'll be exporting such to South Sudan beginning immediately. South Sudan businessmen, they are going to be given access so that they can bring in fuel. They can also bring in bitumen. There are also some other bigger companies in South Sudan, for example, Trinity Energy, that want to invest in farm tanks here in Malawi, so that we can have huge storages of fuel, so that others can actually access fuel from within the country. That should make our fuel cheaper when that materializes. So essentially, it was just finding new markets, new horizons for our exports, and I'm really pleased that it worked out the way we wanted.
South Sudan Minister of Trade and Industry, Ko Ethan, said South Sudan is a market for cereals, as the country has a deficit of 465,600 tons. He added that there is a shortage of food in the country, South Sudan, and they have been importing from neighboring countries, but Malawi government has seen their suffering and it wants to rescue them. Grain Traders and Processing Association has since applauded the move, saying when the deal is between governments, exporters do not face hitches as the prices are established and competitive. The organization's chairperson, Grace Mejiga Muhango, said it is now up to traders to utilize the opportunity. She added that there is also crude oil, which the country, South Sudan, manufactures. Therefore, it will increase demand for raw materials such as soya, and prices will be satisfying. Meanwhile, the ministry has published a Gazette supplement to the Control of Goods Act dated 4 June 2021, which, among other things, mandates the trading of grains and legumes only through structured markets that are commodity exchanges or any traders with such a license. It further prohibits exportation of such products by individuals or traders, but through structured markets. The Gazette reads in part that the objective of these regulations is to provide for the export of the prescribed grains and legumes in order to bring order and transparency in the export of grains, legumes and oil seeds, and ensure export proceeds are tracked and repatriated to Malawi in accordance with relevant legislation. Agriculture expert Tamani Nkonomvula said unless otherwise interpreted, but the regulations are good in bringing about sanity in the export and marketing of agricultural produce.
Deputy Minister of Labour, Vera Kantugure, says there is a mismatch between training being offered by community technical colleges and the skills that the industry needs. She says this is why some college graduates fail to ably articulate issues related to their fields. Kantugure has since pointed out that the ministry, together with TVETA, is reviewing the curriculum.
Our universities are producing. So what we are doing now, because the Ministry of Labour, we are responsible for TVET, the TVET sector. So we are reviewing the curriculum to ensure that it responds accurately to the ever-growing needs of the labour market. Because without that, then our economy will be lacking skills. So the other thing is that, as you know, the world of work has changed because of COVID-19. What has to happen, therefore, is that we need to upskill and reskill to ensure that our young people have the necessary skills that are going to make them relevant even in the world of work from now going forward. As a government, our position is that all the projects that were started by the previous DPP government are going to be completed by this government, and that our plan is to ensure that every constituency has a skills development center, and that we have the community development centers across the country as well. At the moment, we have about 7 national colleges. They will remain like that until we get other funding to do another national technical college. However, I should mention that our greatest challenge at the moment is that we don't have a technical teacher training college. Without that, we are unable to train our teachers, but we are trying to see how best we can find ways to ensure that we are sending our technical teachers for training, so that, because the quality of our graduates in our TVET institutions is contingent upon us having quality teachers as well.
Well, with that story, we've come to the end of today's edition of Business Time here on Times. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Chimwemwe Mangazi. But always remember, If it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.
Pamene wena amati kanthu nkhama, wena amati mwayi suponya mwini. Peza ni mphoto za Nkhani mu mpikisano wa